Hello everyone and welcome back to today's video. Today we are talking about one of the biggest things in political news that's happened over the last couple weeks, and it is Donald Trump becoming the first former United States president to become a convicted felon. So this should come as no surprise to most of you who would keep in touch with the news. This news broke about almost 2 weeks ago now. Looking at this case, or looking at the overall structure of this video, first we're going to talk about this case, how it became to be, the different facts of the case, and then we're going to move over to the electoral ramifications of Trump now gaining this new status of becoming a convicted felon, something that again is historical, that will be written about in the history books, and that is possibly a changing point in polling and in the election results. So again, going back, looking at this case. This again, if you're not aware, is one of the many cases that Trump is currently facing. These three are the cases that are currently in the indictment stage, as Politico very well lays out. The classified documents case is probably the most serious one, but it is in Florida with a jury that's most likely going to be kind to Donald Trump. But anyways, we're going to get more into these different cases in other videos, but today we're talking about the hush money case, the case that has given Donald Trump this new status. So looking at the facts, if you're not aware, this is from Donald Trump falsifying business records to hide that he gave a hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels for an affair that they had in 2006. And Michael Cohen is Trump's lawyer, another key player in this case, and he was the one who gave the initial $130,000 to Stormy Daniels, and Trump falsified business records in order to reimburse him in different installments for that $130,000. So the case comes about from the falsification of those business records, not disclosing what they were for exactly, which is an E or F level felony in the state of New York. So this is a state case. It has nothing to do with the federal government. Many assume that this case is has only been brought about and become, to the extent that has been, gone to the case where the jury voted in favor of convicting President Trump, because the jury is obviously, it's in Manhattan, New York. Donald Trump got about like 11, 12, 13% of the vote in Manhattan. So undoubtedly the jury is going to be majority and overwhelmingly liberal, with a eye out for Donald Trump. And then the prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, definitely wanted to convict Trump. And then the judge of this case, Juan Mayer also had an eye out for Trump. Now, did Donald Trump commit a crime here? Of course. He falsified business records. I think that's pretty clear, and I think that Trump's legal team made the mistake of trying to deny that he had an affair with Daniels altogether, instead of focusing on the business records and how it seemed like very overblown, the entire case, with something that's a white-collar crime. It's very common in New York with the millionaires and billionaires in the state and business people who run these operations all the time. Hush money is no really serious level crime, but again, this wasn't as much of a political prosecution as others think it is, because if you didn't want to get prosecuted, then don't give hush money payments and don't falsify your business records. Don't have affairs with people that you want to in order hide for your own electoral gain. But again, the role that this has played in the media and the extent to which Alvin Bragg and Juan Mayer and the jury have come to this conclusion is definitely overblown. If the defendant wasn't Trump, then it wouldn't have gone to this level, definitely. But yeah, that's, I think, the main facts of the case. You can definitely read more here on Politico's website, of course. They do a very good job of outlining everything. But now going into the electoral ramifications of all this. So I'm just going into Real Clear Politics polling. Let's just reload to make sure it's new. Okay, great. So May 31st was the day that this ruling came out. And if you can see afterwards, both candidates seem to have gone down quite a bit. Both by 0.3%. And now the numbers, if we look at the numbers on May 30th, if it gives us that, yep, Trump was up 0.8%, and now Trump is up 0.5%, with the all-time low being 0.3. So this does seem to have net benefit helped Biden, polling from previous to May 31st, where the New York Times Siena, they did a small batch of, I think, a couple hundred pollers, and they asked them if, Trump becoming a convicted felon or being thrown in jail would change their support. And a large number of them actually did say that they would, around like 7%, which in a very, very close election, as you can see, Trump is up by 0.3, 7% could be the make or break of this election. But that was prior to the actual conviction, and, could'ves, would've, should've, these hypotheticals before a thing actually happens. We don't know if they actually would change their vote from Trump to Biden in the case of Trump's new level of conviction. So we don't know if that's for sure. We don't know if those voters are going to come over to Biden, if they're not going to vote in general, if they're going to vote for RFK. So polling wise, it does show that Biden has a bit of a lead, though it's all too soon to really tell. We do know that Donald Trump, within like 36 hours of the guilty verdict coming out, he raised around like $50 million, though we will still have to see for the official filings to come in if that's actually true or not, but we can assume that it is. And so that's a large sum of money. Donald Trump's website actually crashed because so many people are rushing to support him with this new, again, with the guilty verdict coming out. And so obviously there's financial incentive that he has gained from it. But again, electorally overall, I think many independents and moderates in the country, those who will definitely be determining the outcome of this election on November 5th, those people might be turned off by Trump's new status. However, they might also see this as a political prosecution. Biden is, again, losing in the polls. As we can see, he's been losing for a very long time now, since September, and nothing has really changed voters' minds about him. He seems to have gone very down in the polls ever since, with, October 7th, his handling of that. Both sides don't seem to appreciate quite what he's doing with the economy, of course, and we'll do another video deep diving into all the things that has made Biden become such a president that people are unenthusiastic about. Either they hate him, they dislike him very strongly, or they're just Democrats or liberals classically that were really excited about Bill Clinton or Obama, but just aren't excited about Joe Biden. There's not that excitement that the base needs, versus Trump voters have that excitement. So it just depends on who's showing up to the polls on November 5th. That could really make or break everything. If Democrats don't get out the message that this is a very important election, that they need Joe Biden to win, then they could see another 4 years of Donald Trump. On the other hand, Donald Trump and his campaign really need to emphasize a few certain things. First of all, the status of the country. In many aspects, economically at least, and foreign policy-wise, the world was a safer place under Donald Trump. But Biden, of course, brings different things to the table than did Donald Trump. His age definitely plays a factor that the Trump campaign and Republicans overall should definitely emphasize. He's not as mentally capable as he was 4 years ago, though we will see this further into play on June 27th when they will have their first debate. But otherwise, I think the best thing that the Trump campaign and Republicans can have overall is just shine a light on what Joe Biden is doing, to make him speak a lot on June 27th when they're going to have the debate, for Trump to not put his foot in his mouth and not get ahead of himself. Don't get excited talking about 2020 and who won the election and everything like that, and focusing on the present, not the past. Biden should definitely, and Democrats should focus on the past, not the present. So that's overall the state of things, I think, as far as polling. Like it or not, this is going to be a very close election. As we can see, Trump is at 0.5. Joe Biden recently gained his lowest approval rating that he has gained thus far in his presidency. I think it's at 34.7 or 8% at this point. That's Joe Biden's approval rating, which is very, very low. That's an all-time low for him, and he's not looking good. Now, as far as, if you see this, 56% disapprove. This is, of course, a different stat than the one I was referencing, but overall, it's just gone down. He's not a popular president. That's the main takeaway here, is that he's not popular, and he'll have to be making up some real work in the next couple of months if he wants to win on November 5th. Other political commentators and statisticians like Nate Silver have said that Biden should drop out of the race. At this point, it might be even too late. It might be a bigger gamble than for him to stay in the race, but it's unknown, and so he should definitely drop out because his polling numbers are not changing. If anything, they are declining over time, and he doesn't seem to be winning this election. People have also said that if he had dropped out, say, a year ago, then Democrats would be in a much better position for them to have a proper primary process to allow for voters to decide which of the many popular Democrats in the country they want to elect to go against Donald Trump. But of course, they didn't have that. It's too late for that at this point. And so the only other hope for independents or people who aren't enthusiastic about President Biden is RFK, though he as well really needs to stir up the excitement because his polling has gone down as well. At one point, he was in the 15% range, 13, and now he's back in single digits, and he really needs to ramp it up. Otherwise, he's not going to be seen as a proper candidate with Trump and Biden. So close, and such a difference in between the two. So anyway, we kind of got off topic with all of that, but all of that to say that this is a close election, that the guilty verdict from the New York jury may influence this election. It may not. Certainly, it adds to Donald Trump's list of controversies and labels that he's been thrown throughout the last 7 or so years. But of course, he has many of those already, and adding one to the pile may not change what, of course, is very strong and staunch supporter base thinks of him, but maybe not independents or moderates either. So this could end up backfiring in the face of Democrats. All that to say, this is a close election. We don't know yet, and all we can do is analyze what we currently have and look towards future polling and future data. This is going to be a close election, so make sure you go vote on November 5th for whoever you think is best suited for office of the United States president. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.